آمين. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. To all of my sisters, I hope that you are all doing good. Once again, very welcome to the day 18 of Surah Al Mulk, inshallah. And I appreciate your persistence in this course, right? So, inshallah, we will be revising the last two rules of Nun Sakin and Tanween today. So yes, yesterday we were talking about like idgham rule, right? And in idgham rule, we studied that that rule has is related to the six letters of Yarmaloon, right? But today we can just quickly discuss that there are four exceptions to that rule as well. In these four words in Quran, this rule does not apply, okay, of idgham. The idgham rule, which means that we assimilate the sound of the letters that come before Nun Sakin and the letter which comes after Nun Sakin, but even in like Nun Sakin or in the Tanween case, okay? So in both of these cases, yeah, you see these words of dunya, bunyan, qinwanun, sinwanun, like these four words. When they come, they have a Nun Sakin in them, and after Nun Sakin, we see a letter Ya here, which is from the six letters of your Maloon. In the next example, in word bunyan, again after Nun Sakin, we see a letter Ya. In this word of qinwanun, Nun Sakin, and after that we see a letter Waw, which is again from the six letters of Yarmaloon, right? And in this word Sinwanun, again after Nun Sakin, we see a letter Waw. But we do not do idgham. We do not say duya. We say dunya. We articulate the noon here, and same is the case here and in all of these words. Okay, so these are exceptions to the second rule of Nun Sakin and Tanween. We will be doing the third rule of Nun Sakin and Tanween, which is very easy, inshallah. This rule is called Iqlab. And I have told you as well that this word Iqlab, it comes from the Arabic word of qalb, right? The qalb means heart, and the feelings and the emotions, like all of the condition of the heart, it keeps on changing, right? The way we feel, sometimes we are happy, sometimes sad, and all of that. So the qalb word has something to do with changing. So that is why, let's see what is changing in this rule. So if after Nun Sakin or Tanween comes letter Ba, right? So then we will change the sound of the letter noon to meme, the noon of noon sakin or the noon hidden in this tanween, right? So we will change that. Let's see the example here. This is the example like mew ba'di. Here there was noon sakin after meme letter min, right? And after noon sakin there was this word of ba'di, which has a ba letter at the start. So that is why what we will do, we will change the sound of this noon letter to meme. And that is why in Quran you will, see the small meme written as well at certain places on noon sakin. Okay, and then we will say min ba'di, right? And also, I have written it here as well again that there are two ways to change the sound of this letter known to meme sound. The first one is that you join the lips together to articulate the meme letter, right? The meme is articulated when we join the two lips. The first way is to join the two lips together but very lightly, and we say meme ba'di. And the second way is to keep very little, very small space between the two lips, and as if you are just trying to join and you are just not letting them join, like the two lips, okay? And you are saying min ba'di. So this way will make it like a nasal sound of meme letter min ba'di. And also you can say that this meme sound will be just in between the meme or noon sound when we say, right? So that is how we do iqlab, right? This third rule, which is related to one letter of ba, which comes after noon sakin or tanween, right? So in all of the other examples as well, for example, فَأَنبَتْنَا, again on place of noon sakin, we are changing that to meme sound because the letter ba is the next one. فَأَنبَتْنَا. Okay, so revising the fourth rule of noon sakin and tanween, this rule is called ikhfa rule. Ikhfa means hiding. So let's see what we hide here. If after noon sakin or tanween comes any letter, so there are, letters, it is kind of a summary of the previous rule that we did. Comes any letter from the six letters of throat, right? We did these six letters in the first rule of izhar, which were hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain, and kha. These were the six letters of throat, and we did them in the first rule of izhar. Okay, we will accept accept these letters of throat, then accept these six letters of idgham. So idgham letters were the six yarmulun letters, ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, noon, and accept letter ba, which we did in the previous third rule of iqlab. And just one more letter, alif letter, which is very easy, inshallah. You will get to remember this as well. So yes, this becomes like six letters plus six letters plus one and plus one letter. So you will have to remember these 14 letters in order to remember this rule of ikhfa. Because when you exclude all of these letters, you have like remaining 15 letters. So if after noon sakin or tanween comes these remaining 15 letters, then we will hide the sound of the noon letter that comes in noon sakin or that is hidden in the tanweens. And right, and make a nasal sound. Let's see the example here. First example here is antum. In this example, you see a letter noon here with a sakin on it. And after that, there is letter ta. So this letter ta, for rules to remember, you just say that, okay, this ta is not from the first, six letters of the throat. Okay, hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain, kha. This ta is also not from the six letters of yarmaloon, which were ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, noon. Okay, so let's go to the third rule, which is iqlab. This ta letter is not ba as well. This ta letter is not aleph as well. So yes, this ta is other than those, 14 letters, which means that this is from these remaining 15 letters, right? You see above them as well. So that is why we will do ikhfa and we will hide the sound of noon here and say antum. I am not saying antum. I'm not articulating noon here. Tum. This is like a nasal sound. You say the letter Hamza first, and on the noon letter, you just make a nasal sound and you say Aw, tum. Right? So, yes, let's see an example with the tanween as well. Here you see Laylatan Thumma. We will just say this like Laylatan Thumma. Okay, so in this example, you see a tanween on letter ta here. After tanween of ta, we have ta letter here, which is from the remaining 15 letters, okay, of ikhfa. You see a ta letter here, right? So that is why we will hide the noon sakin hidden in this tanween. Like I have written it like this. This tanween on the letter ta can be written like this. Ta fatha noon sakin tan. So we will, articulate the ta, first ta of the tanween, and we will hide the noon sakin that is hidden in this tanween. And we say laylatan thumma, right? I'm not saying again laylatan thumma. I'm saying laylatan thumma. I hope that you get to remember these. This is just a bit of summary of these four rules, and inshallah, I hope for now, you're getting these rules and you are also remembering somewhat of it. The first rule was izhar. Izhar means to express. So when we will express the sound of noon, that will happen when these six letters come after noon sakin or tanween, which are the six letters of throat. For the second rule is named as idgham. Idgham means, entering or, joining, assimilating. For this rule again, you will have to remember the six letters of Yarmaloon. For the third rule of iqlab, which means changing something, whenever after letter ba comes, we change that to, we change the sound of noon to meme. So one letter. And for the fourth rule of ikhfa, which means hiding the sound of noon sakin, noon sound, we will have to, remember these first three, for the letters of first three rules. And we for except those letters, the remaining letters are related to the fourth rule of ikhfa, and that is just a summary of it. Okay, so I hope that you will find them easy a bit, inshallah. Moving on to our lesson for today, which will be inshallah ayah number 20 and 21. Like I think it will be 21 or 22, inshallah. Yes, 21 and 22, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم إن أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه أهدى أمن يمشي سويا على صراط مستقيم. Okay, so ayah number 21 starts with word man, letter hamza at the start, which makes a sound of a because of fatha here. Man. I'm joining the sound of letter hamza with the next letter of meme here because of tashdid on meme, right? So I'm saying and also on meme letter I'm doing something other than that as well, which is like ghunna. So ghunna means like staying for a bit on a letter and making a nasal sound, which happens on, whenever there is like meme tashdid or noon tashdid. So we stay on this letter of meme or noon and we make a nasal sound and say man, man, right? So man هذا الذي. Okay, so you see a noon sakin here, and after noon sakin, the next letter is ha letter. So just remember the first rule of noon sakin and tanween, which was related to the six letters of throat. So this letter ha is also a letter of throat. That is why we will do izhar, which means that we will express the sound of noon here. We will just keep it as it is and say man. You see a n sound here, right, at the end of noon letter. أمن هذا الذي. Okay, so this ha letter, this is the ha articulated from the portion of the throat that is near to the chest. And we say ha, هذا الذي. I'm stretching the sound of like ha letter here for two counts because of the standing, straight line on it, which is like dagger aleph on it. And, we say ha for two counts. هذا الذي. The next letter is the soft the letter, right? Tip of the tongue touches the tip of our upper teeth softly, and we say the. هذا الذي. Again, this the letter here in the الذي. Okay, I'm joining the letter with lam letter because of a tashdid on lam letter, right? And say the الذي. Okay, lam letter is articulated. You all know that tip of the tongue, it touches the back of our upper teeth, or you can say the hard palate, and we say the. Again, I'm stretching the sound here for two counts because of this ya madda here, right? You see ya madda, which means ya sakin, and before ya sakin, we see a kasra on the previous letter of dal. The. So we are stretching here for two counts. Ha and the two mads. يرزقكم yar. Ya letter, middle portion of the tongue is raised towards the palate and we say ya. Yar. I'm joining the sound of ya again with the next letter because the ra has a sakin on it. Yar. Yar. Okay, here I'm making a raw letter heavy. Why? Because ra raw letter has a sakin on it, but on the previous letter there is a fatha on it. So whenever raw letter it has a sakin and on the previous letter there is a fatha, we make the raw letter heavy and we say yar, yar. So here it is a full mouth letter, okay? And to make it heavy, you have to raise the back part of your tongue and say yarzuqukum. The next letter is the letter. The. This the is different than this soft dal, this the sound. This is zoo, a bit more prominent with, this vibration, this buzz in this when we say zoo, zoo. Tip of our tongue, it touches the incisors of the upper and the lower teeth, right? The back of upper and lower incisors. And we say zoo, zuqukum. Okay, the next letter is qaf letter, the heavy qaf, and for this back part of the tongue, it touches the soft palate with strength, and we say qu, qu, yarzuqu. Okay, so the next letter is the light kaf letter, the heavy qaf, and then the kaf. So for this for this kaf letter, the light one, back part of the tongue, it touches the soft as well as hard palate, and we say ku. The first one is ku. The second one is the soft and light one like ku, ku and ku, ku and ku. Right? So you have to make a transition here. Yarzuqukum. Okay. So at the end there is a meme sakin and yarzuqukum in amsaka. The next word is in here, simply joining the hamza with noon sakin in, and you see a noon sakin here, and after that there is a letter hamza. So whenever after noon sakin comes any letter from the six letters of throat, this is the first rule of noon sakin and tanween, which is called izhar. That we will keep the sound of this noon letter as it is and just say in amsaka, in amsaka. Okay, so again, hamza letter here with a fatha on it, and we're joining this sound with the next letter of meme sakin because meme has a sakin on it. Amsaka, amsaka. So seen letter here, this letter has air that comes out of her mouth and whistle sound, and we say sta, saka, amsaka. This is also a light letter, amsaka. The next letter is kaf, the light kaf, just like ku here. Amsaka. Rizqah. Rizqah. Okay, so here there's letter ra here, but with a kasra, so we'll keep this light here and say ri, ri. For this, you are not, you're not keeping your back part of the tongue raised, and also you are not making your mouth full. This is just like re, simple sound. Re, riz. This just comes naturally. Riz, qah. The next letter is za here again, just like zoo here, right? The heavy one, and with this buzzing sound in this. Riz, riz, qahu, riz, qahu. Okay, the qaf letter, heavy one. Riz, qahu. Okay, at the end there is letter ha, which is again, the same ha which comes from the portion of the throat. That is the lower one, right? And also this has this inverted dhamma on it. So this means that we will stretch here for two counts again and say qahu, like who for two counts. Rizqahu. I took a waqf here in the ayah. I stopped here in the ayah and I just changed this inverted dhamma into sakin and I said rizqah rather than qahu. This ha turned sakin and I articulated that as well when I said qah, right? So that is how I stopped here in the ayah. and then baladu, baladu. Ba letter, simply joining the two lips together, ba, balla. I'm joining this ba letter with this lam here because this lam has a tashdid on it. Balla, right? Balla. And again, we are joining this with the next letter and say laddu, balla and laddu. So this lam is here for two times, right? Balladdu. Okay, so the lam letter, tip of the tongue touches the back of our upper teeth or hard palate. We say la, balla, laddu, balladdu, right? So dream letter here, ju, the sound of ju, right? Just the way you say jug, jug, right? So with a bit more strength when we say ju, ju, right? And also, because Jim has a tashdid on it, so that is why it will be a bit more strength here. Ju, baladu. Okay, I'm stretching the sound here again for two counts because of this vaw madda after Jim letter. Ju. Fa letter here, tip of the upper teeth, it touches the lower lips and air is removed from the mouth and we say fee, fee, right? For two counts because of Yamada here again, right? This Yamada here. Baladu fi ru. The next letter is Ain letter from the middle portion of the throat, and we say ru, ru, right? So you have to like differentiate the sound with Hamza, right? This is not oo. This is ru, ru, rutuwing. Okay, ru sound. This ain letter here with the dhamma, and after that ta letter, which is the light one. Tip of the tongue, it simply touches the back of our upper teeth, and we say tu, ru tu, rutuwing. Okay, I'm joining the ta sound with the next letter of wow because wow has a tashdid on it. Tu, tu and wu. Tu or tu wing. Okay, so you see a kasrotain here below wow letter. Let's see after this tanween, which is the next letter. This is a wow here. So the rule says that whenever after noon sakin or tanween comes any letter comes from the uh, comes from the six letters of Yarmalone, that then we will, assimilate the sounds together and say autu. We are assimilating the sound of vowel letter into the next vowel and saying wiu, autu wa nufur, nufur. Okay, so simple sound of noon letter with the dhamma and fa letter. The sound is repeating of fa letter. Nufur. I'm stretching the foo here for two counts again because of vaw madda, right? Nufur. At the end, a raw letter with the tanween of kasratain, so we will keep this light, right? Nufur. Okay, so the next ayah starts with Hamza again. Afaman, afaman, right? So here you see a nun sakin at the end, and after nun sakin there is letter ya. So we did this second rule of nun sakin and tanween, which is idgham, right? So whenever after nun sakin comes letter ya, we assimilate the sound of the previous letter to nun and the letter that comes after it, and we say my. We are skipping the nun sound here, but we are keeping the nasal. We are saying afamai. The nasal is, here at the ya here. My, right? We stay here for a bit as well on letter ya. Afamai yamshi. Yamshi. Ya letter, middle portion of the tongue is raised, and we say ya. My ya. Yamshi. Meme letter with a sakin on it. That is why we are joining the sound with the previous letter. Yam shi. Afaman yamshi. Stretching she again here for two counts because of this yamada, right? Mukibban ala. Mukibban. meme letter, and then the light kaf letter, muki, mukiban. Okay, so again here on letter ba, you see a tanween, and after the tanween, there is ayn letter, which is a throat letter. So that is why we will keep the sound just as it is of ban here. Mukibban, because of ayn letter afterwards. Mukibban ala, ala. Stretching the last sound here again for two counts because of this standing straight line and saying ala. Mukibban ala. Right? So this ayn letter is from the middle portion of the throat. Mukibban a. Right? Ala wajhihi. Wow letter joining it with the kalkala letter of Jim here. Wajh. And making this echo sound when we say wajh. Right? Wajh. Wajhihi. Both of these has are from the portion of the throat that is that is near to the chest, and we just say he, wajhi. The first sound is just for a second. The second one, we will stretch this because of reasons that there is a standing straight line below this letter, and also there is a mud on top of that. So this mud here, we will just look at the next letter, that if Hamza comes in the next word, then we stretch this mud for 2 to 4 counts. It's your choice, right? Either 2 or for 4 counts. So here, this mud is in one word of wajhihi, and this Hamza, that is, this alif with a fatha on it, you see in the next word of ahda. So that is why it is your choice to stretch this mud for 2 or for 4 counts. وجهه وجهه أهدى. Okay, again Hamza and this same ha. Ah, أهدى. Okay, so this dal letter, tip of the tongue, it touches the back of our upper teeth. Da, da, right? The da sound. And again, we're stretching here because of this mud, and this is the same mud here. That mud is in one word, and hamza after it is in the next word of amman. So, right? So, your choice. وجهه أهدى أمن. Okay, so in this word, amman, on meme letter, there is a tashdid. So whenever there is meme tashdid or noon tashdid, we do gunna. Man, which is staying for a bit and making a nasal sound. My. Again, after noon sakin, you see a letter, ya here. This is just this composition here, noon sakin, and after ya, this is the rule of idgham. My, skipping the noon sound but keeping the nasal. My yamshi. So this is the same word here, right? سويا على سويا على. Seen letter, the light sound of seen, right? The sa, سويا. Wow letter and joining it with the tashdid of next letter ya, wiyan, we and ya, wiyan. Okay, so this letter ya again has a tanween of fathatain on it, and after this tanween we see a letter ain, which is a letter of throat. So that is why we just say it as it is. Not we will not do anything to this tanween. Sawiyan, right? This yan sound is as it is. Sawiyan ala, ala. La here for 2 counts again because of this, dagger alif. Ala. صراط صي. So this is a heavy letter, صاد letter. I have written it here as well, right? So you have to differentiate the sound of صاد with the seen letter here. This is a light letter, this is a heavy letter. صي, صي. The sum of the air, it is, it gets trapped beneath our cheeks, and some of that we just let out of our mouth and we say صي. The back part of the tongue is raised in all of this process when we say sli, صراطim, sli. I'm not saying si. This is si. Si, ra, ra. The raw letter here is heavy because of fatha. Raw. I'm not saying a ra. My mouth is not empty when I say ra, but rather it is like raw. Si, ra, tim. Ta letter here, the heavy letter, ta, tip of the tongue, it touches the back of our upper teeth, but with strength, and also the back part of our tongue is raised. And we say ti, ti, right? But here there is, tanween of kasratain, so we say tin. Si, ra, tin. All of these three letters are heavy here. Si and ra and tin. Okay, so tin has this tanween here. After this tanween, we see letter meme here. So this is, the second rule of Nun Sakin and Tanween, which is Idgham rule with Ghunna, with, right, Ghunna on it. So we say Tim, Tim, right? Siratim Mustaqim. Seen letter, the light seen different than the sod, right? Musta. Okay, so seen light letter light and ta letter light, tip of the tongue touches the back of our upper teeth. Simply musta, mustaqim. Okay, the heavy letter of qaf, qi, qim. Again, stretching this for two counts because of yamada here, and just saying siratim mustaqim. Okay, so that is it for today.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا زدنا علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم حاسبنا حسابا يسيرا آمين ثم آمين. We look into the word-to-word meanings of the verse 21 and 22, and then a bit of explanation along with the metaphoric meaning of the two verses. So the first one, 21, starts with Amman Hazalladhi Yarzuqukum in Amsaka Rizkahu Ballaju fi Utuwin Wanufur. It starts with a, which is a question word, or man is a pronoun, or who, haza. Haza is this or it. Allazi again is a pronoun and it's been repeated so many times that you must be familiar with this allazi and allazina. And metaphorically, it means that is there one such who, and we look into the metaphoric meaning later on. So this is the literal meaning of the individual words here. Yarzukukum, ra, za, and qaf basically is the root word, and kum is the pronoun attached with it. Yarzukukum means he who provides to you. You know, it is basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant here because Allah provides us in, if, amsaka, if he means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amsak is from mim, sin and kaf, means if he withholds, if he stops, if he doesn't allow the provision to reach us, if he doesn't pass it on to us. Rizqahu, rizqa, who is a pronoun preceded by rizqa, the same word as you can see in the word yarzukukum. So rizqahu means his rizq. Rizq basically is attributed towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, means it's not man's own doing. He is enjoying it's a favor, a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it's not that man should be credited for his rizq. But to say in a negative sense that actually it's not the case. So the word nay is for bal, rather. Lajju, instead of being thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, instead of being humbled and down to earth towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what they are doing, who are provided risk by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, laju, they insist on, they keep on insisting obstinately, or they go on persistently, or they continue what? Fi is a preposition, utowin. Utuvin is pride and arrogance and disobedience. They are bent upon disobedience of the Razik. Razik is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and instead of showing humility towards him, they just bent on disobeying, receiving favors from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but instead of acknowledging, they are just disobeying and showing opposition towards their Lord and the Creator. And the next thing they show is their nufur. Nufur is aversion, flight. They just are trying to run away from the Lord. Afaman. Again is a question word. Fa, then man, who a preposition. Yamshi is a word from mim shinya, means the one who walks. Mokibban. Mokibban word is from kaf ba ba, which means bent down. And it has another connotation which is blind. So the one who yamshi walks mukibban blindly or face downward, bent downward. Allah on or upon wajhihi, on his face, means his face is bent down. He's not looking straight up towards, he's not looking up in front of him to the direction where he is going, means he's walking rather carelessly. Ahda is this person who is bent on and who is, walking carelessly, is more guided than the other one. And who is the other one? Amman, or the one, Yamshi, who walks savi and straight, upright, looking straight towards the direction where he has to move to. Allah is he upon Sirat, a path, mustaqim, which is straight. So basically, these two ayat are posing two questions. Number one question is in ayat number or verse number 21. And the question is, what if he who provides you, if he stops his provisions from you? So it's a thought-provoking question. Look at the metaphoric meaning first, and then we'll go into the details of the key words. Or who is there that can provide you if he withholds his provisions? Okay, then there's a question mark. If he withholds his provision, then what is going to be the outcome of that? Yet they persist in rebellion. They are enjoying the favors from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this thing is increasing their rebellion, aversion from the truth. Just think. Another question, who is rightly guided? In verse number 22, a comparison between two people and a question that who is more guided between these two. Number one is the one who walks with his face bent down. He's not looking straight where he's going. And there has more chances to trip over and fall and fall down. He who walks with his face bent down, or the other one who walks properly on a straight path. So, who has more chances to reach his destination safe and sound? Obviously, the one who is walking more carefully, and the one who walks carelessly, and he has more chances of losing balance. He may get imbalance, he may trip over, and he may hurt himself. So now look at the bit of explanation of ayat number 21. Amman hazallazi yarzuqukum in amsaka rizqa. The one who is providing to you, the one who is favoring you with the food and other stuff and his blessings. If he, stops it, if he just withholds these blessings and these favors, then what could be the possible outcome of this action? Basically, the question is meant to make the people thoughtful and thankful to the blessings and the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because man sometimes in his pride and arrogance starts believing that whatever he is enjoying actually is because of his own knowledge and because of his own hard work and because of his own, skill and expertise. But the ayat is hinting towards the opposite to that, that the risk that you are enjoying, and risk is not just the food, it is everything, every favor, every blessing that man enjoys actually is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at a number of places, Allah hints towards this fact that risk is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why one of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ar-raziq. Allah says at one place, وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Whatever favors and blessings you are enjoying, they are from Allah. Summa إِذَا مَسَّكُمُ الضُّرُّ. And when there is a, when there is an adversity or adversity touches you, فَإِلَيْهِ تَجْأَرُونَ. To him you cry for help. Then man starts crying for help. And moments before, he was just stubborn and arrogant, challenging his own Lord. But when the reality dawns upon him, he starts crying. And all that pride and arrogance and that, puffed up inner self is just gone. And that actually is the case with human beings. And that thing is referred here. Ballaju, the man who is enjoying the favors from the being, he is just bent upon opposing him. And he shows arrogance and pride repeatedly. He's given chances after chances. He is, given time. He is given opportunities to consider and reconsider the way he is behaving towards his Lord, what he is doing with the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But each time the man ignores the chances provided to him, and he is just bent upon opposing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he shows, a thanklessness towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has no words of acknowledgement or gratitude for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather quite opposite to that. So in these words, actually, there is a warning hidden that if Allah does not allow that food, if you take risk just for food, where the man actually is going to create that food for himself, or where he is going to grow it for himself. For example, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala withholds the rain, how is man able to grow the crops? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just orders the seed not to germinate, the labor of the farmers will go wasted. They won't be able to get anything as a reward of their hard work. What if it destroys the standing crops with torrential rains and flash floods? Man is simply helpless. What if he causes drought and no food grows anywhere? Man cannot make the clouds come and, shower rain on the land. Such is the helplessness, such is the reality of man, and Quran at number of places draws attention towards this fact. Power, might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on one side, and in comparison to that, helplessness of man. But man still, there are people who still bend on, and they continue to show arrogance and pride towards their Lord and Creator. And they simply refuse to reform themselves. They simply refuse to change themselves. So that is an extreme degree of being thankless to someone. And the verse number 22 again poses a question, and this question basically is a comparison between two people. The one who is walking straight, and the other one who is, for whom the word mukibban is used. Mukibban is a word used for someone who falls on face, who trips over because he was not looking up, he was not paying attention to the way he was going, the direction he was going, or maybe the way or the path he chose for himself was not smooth. Opposite to Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path, there are bent and zigzag paths also available in the world. And it is the choice of a man whether he chooses a straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim, to walk on, or he wants to walk on a bumpy road, a rough road. A bumpy road that leads him to nowhere. And the straight path is the one that takes him to his direction. The one is the example of a careless person who doesn't choose the course of his life, the path of his life carefully. The second is the example of the man who is conscious, who is careful, and who fears the consequences of his action and his choice. And basically, the ayah is for us to see which way I am following, which road actually I am walking on. It is for everyone to see and find out. Am I just going with the flow, like they say, go with the flow? Or I choose my path or the course of my life very carefully, looking at the consequences of my choice. So Allah actually is inviting us to make use of our intellect and decide for ourselves that where lies the benefit for us. And if we willfully choose a wrong path to walk on, no one else is to be blamed for the consequences but we ourselves. That's why Allah says in the Quran repeatedly that aksaruhum la yaqilun, that most of them don't make a use of their reason. They don't make a use of their intellect. So in both these verses, number 21 and number 22, actually both these verses, they hold a mirror to us to find ourselves if we are reflected in that mirror or not. And it invites us that if we are, for example, bent upon opposing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while at the same time we are enjoying his favors and blessings, and we choose a wrong path for us to walk on, then we should be ready for the consequences of our choice as well. So this is the bit of translation for these two ayat today. And I would ask your leave at this point, and I hand over the Zoom meeting to Ambreen once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.